For a while now, Hollywood seems to be obsessed with sequels, remakes, and prequels. And villain prequels are becoming more prominent than ever. What if that monstrous, horrible, evil character you loved from that thing from your childhood was now the main character, and younger, and sexier, and not the villain now, and just like a hero, essentially? They seem to love making those films. And who would have thought the next villain in line for the prequel hero treatment was none other than everybody's second favorite child-abusing maniac, Willy Wonka. To be clear, the top spot goes to Freddy Krueger. Who else is going to play young, sexy Willy Wonka other than Timothy Chalamet? I, like most people, saw that first trailer and thought, Timmy Chonka doesn't seem like the perfect casting for Willy Wonka. It just doesn't work. He seems like he's been miscast. Seems like he's trying too hard for that whimsy and that wonderful magical kind of thing that Willy Wonka is, at least on the surface level, because as we all know, under the surface is a simmering hatred for children and the need to torture, manipulate, and harass and potentially murder them. But of course we're doing a prequel origin story to a villain, so get rid of all that villainous stuff. He's a hero. So all we need is the whimsy and the charm and the magical wonder that's on the surface of Willy Wonka. And at first glance, Timmy Chonka just didn't seem like the right casting. He just seemed off. Didn't like that first trailer. And so I am utterly delighted to be utterly delighted by Timmy Chonka's performance in Wonka. He's so good! He's so good! He brings everything you want from a surface level portrayal. Hero, scrap the villainness, or, all the character stuff, and just imagine essentially a different character than the Willy Wonka you remember. Just imagine a fun, whimsical, delightfully magical magician who loves to make chocolate. Because that is what Timmy Chonka brings to this role. He is so good, he is so delightful, and he can sing? He doesn't have the range of, say, like a Rachel Zegler, who's singing in the Hunger Games villain prequel that came out a couple of months ago. Like, her range is spectacular. It's some of the best singing in film I've ever seen. Truly wonderful. But for they kind of lower his range into a very specific thing. But he nails it. There was never a point in this film, which is a musical, which isn't my favorite type of film. I am partial to a good musical, but sometimes I find myself kind of a bit cringy, a bit kind of I just find it a bit off-putting sometimes when the music comes in and the musical numbers hit. But for me, I found them to be so charming and delightful. I was tapping my stupid little feet on the seat. Not on the seat, on the ground. I didn't have my feet on the seat. Don't do that. I did it. The cinema was empty, and no one can stop me, because it's dark, and it was empty. I'll do what I want. I'll be gross and put my feet on the seat. But those stupid little feet were tapping the seat. I was sitting there, tapping my little fingers on my thighs. I felt like I could almost sing. Can I remember any of the songs? Which my brother eloquently put it when he's like, name a single song. Sing a single second from any of these songs. And I immediately went to sing the Oompa Loompa song, then went, that's not an original song. And then I couldn't think of one. So yes, they are all uniform. They are all same, but different, but mostly same. And that's, I suppose, an issue. But I had just such a stupid big grin on my face. I was like the Cheshire Cat from Alice in Wonderland. I was just like, not like that. That felt creepy. I felt creepy doing that. I'm sure on the edit that will seem creepy. I could do a second take, but I really want to get back to the cricket because we are killing them right now. Wonka is directed by the guy who directed the Paddington films, Paul King, best known for directing the Paddington films. He brings a wonderful charm and whimsy and sincerity to the film that I found to be really endearing, really magical, and surprisingly poignant and beautiful. I found this film to be overwhelmingly nice, in this way where I feel like so many films try to be sincere and wear their heart on their sleeve, unashamedly doing this thing in this sincere, beautiful, nice way. And this film just kind of did it effortlessly. The film, and I have to imagine this is Paul King's directorial fingers or whatever, he gets his dirty little sincere fingers all over this Wonka script and this story, and he just makes it work. I was gonna say he makes it sing, and I'm like, that feels like I'm trying to do a pun because it's a musical. But he does. He makes it sing. It's such a wonderfully nice, beautiful, charming film, and it just feels so beautifully sincere and nice. And I feel like I've said the same 4 words about 8 different times, and I'm not really saying anything. I'm just trying to say I thought the film was very beautiful, nice, and sincere. And charming, and whimsical, and magical. Just imagine all those words in a film. You like put all those words into a blender, and then I guess you put some chocolate in, and then you grab some of like Timmy Chalamet's hair, and you just like put it in a blender, and you drink it. Imagine that, but a movie. And don't imagine the smoothie I described, because that would be disgusting. I feel like the hair would ruin all of it. Unless you're one of those like weird like fans of Timmy Chalamet, and then you'd probably be like, give me the Timmy Chonka hair smoothie. I will pour that all over my naked body. And this is controversial, and this might be recency bias, or because the film is genuinely better, and he's not a psychopathic murderer who loves torturing children, I kind of like this more than original Chocolate Charlie Factory movie. I just recently watched it this morning in hype, in anticipation, and it is very good. But there's just like moments in the film where I'm like, this guy's a psychopath. Someone locked this guy up. But no, they all didn't read the fine print, and so I guess he's gonna get away in the legal court of legalities. I really liked this Wonka. I liked that they're just like, let's take away all the villainous parts of him. Let's just make a fun, magical movie. And not just that, but let's make the villains in this Warner Brothers. The people who distributed this movie are the villains. But let's take film studio executives and turn them into chocolate executives / chocolate cartel. So the basic plot of the Wonka film is that Willy Wonka arrives in town and there's a chocolate cartel and they suck. Just imagine a big film studio executives who are like, we're controlling everything and we dilute our product to keep the wealth for ourselves. It's definitely not some kind of meta commentary on the distribution company who made the film, Warner Brothers. Don't look into Batgirl if you don't know what I'm talking about. It's nothing to do with that. They're just chocolatiers making chocolate and hoarding their chocolates. They have nothing to do with film executives. There's no kind of comparison to be made at all. So they just hoard all the chocolates, and they are businessmen that are talentless, corrupt, and boring, and they're the old guard, but they hoard everything. Nothing like film executives. Google Batgirl. They are like the villains, and they're like, we don't like you, Willy Wonka, because you're good at what you do. You're like some kind of young, independent filmmaker, and we are boring, talentless, emotionless executives that are just all about money and hoarding our chocolate, which is it's money, but it's chocolate, because this film's pretending to be fun and whimsical, but actually it's very seriously pointing the flaws in film industry. Why do films in the last couple of months keep coming out where the villain is essentially the production company? Leave the World Behind was like an anti-Netflix pro-physical media film. And it's on Netflix, made by Netflix. They're just not watching these films, I guess. But along the way, he is imprisoned in a prison / laundromat, and there's like a prison break, great escape part of the film. In fact, a lot of the film, and it's fantastic. All of that stuff's great. Olivia Colman plays this disgustingly horrible, hasn't brushed her teeth, monster of a prison warden. And all of these elements, the prison laundromat, the chocolate cartel, the town, the vibe, the CGI magical, wonderful magic, all of the set design, costumes, and just the feel and vibe of the film is spectacular. This film looks incredible. This film is so beautifully brought to life, and it feels like Paul King had this really specific, unique vision for Wonka. And whilst Wonka is, I guess, a prequel, a young, sexy villain origin story of Willy Wonka, there are elements of this film that make it seem more like a remake / prequel, where it's set all the way back in the past, where he's a young, sexy version of Willy Wonka, but certain elements of the film and things he does don't line up with the original Willy Wonka film, even though they sometimes use songs and cues and ideas and moments. Like there's a moment where he's like, oh no, I didn't read the fine print, now I'm in prison. And later on in the original film, he uses that to save himself any legal troubles when he chooses to, torture and potentially murder children. So he learns some things. There's like a point where he learns how to drown children because he almost drowns in chocolate. And there's things like that. And you could see them as either references because it's a remake, or he's learnt things for the future. But it doesn't really line up, and it doesn't really have to. It's a reimagining or whatever. I don't know. It's a good film. I really liked it. So Hugh Grant is in this film as an Oompa Loompa, and he is utterly delightful. If not a little bit uncanny CGI, just, oh, what have they done there? Didn't they just put some orange makeup on him? Why is it CGI? What's going on there? It's a little weird, and yes, he's very small, even smaller than the regular Oompa Loompas as we're used to, but there's something off there. But generally speaking, I thought he was delightful and very, very funny. I just love old man Hugh Grant. He kills it in everything. Dungeons and Dragons, The Gentleman, Paddington 2, a film I haven't seen, but apparently I should see, that he's very good in, apparently. And essentially everything. Everything he does as old man Hugh Grant, I vibe with hard. Yeah, so I really liked him. But I will say this, and this isn't a spoiler, but I do not think he's in the film enough. I would have liked more Hugh Grant, more Oompa Loompa storyline. What they do use and utilize with the Oompa Loompas and Hugh Grant, I really enjoyed, really liked it. I wanted more. I wanted, not a lot more, but I wanted a bit more sweet Oompa Loompa stuff. The rest of the cast is fantastic. Everyone really good. Wonka, ironically, I suppose, since in the future he loves to torture children and hates children, ironically has a little child friend in this, because it shows that he's like young, sexy version of the villain and not the villain yet. And he loves this child, and this child isn't annoying or grating or frustrating in any way that a child character like this can be. She was utterly delightful, very good, and there is an emotional gut punch towards the end of the film that, like, I guess I saw coming, like, at a certain point, but how it's done with a little bit of a musical cue reference situation from the original film, it's incredible. Like, it's genuinely heartwarming and beautiful and whimsical and magical, and it's good stuff. She's great little character. Everyone else in the cast is really good. I really liked the first song with the corrupt chief of police, Key and Peele, and he has a song with the Chocolate Cartel, and it's really fun, but, and that might be my favorite song of all the original songs, but Key and Peele has this plot throughout the film that becomes very unfunny and kind of out of place with the rest of the film, and I see exactly what they're trying to do, with like kind of corruption and greed and taking it, because the film is very cartoonish and colorful and ridiculous, so I see what they're trying to do with it, but it did not work for me. I think they could have done something like that, but maybe not addressed it and played with it in the way they did, but it's definitely the weak link of the film. Not for me, but hey, who cares? The rest of the film is great.